What if I told you that the strongest person in the room is not the loudest one, not the richest, not the most talented, not even the one who never suffers? The strongest person is the one who can remain calm when life falls apart. The one who keeps moving when everyone else quits. The one who loses everything and still refuses to lose themselves. For over 2,000 years, Stoic philosophers understood a secret that most people never learn. They knew that pain is unavoidable, but suffering is optional. They knew that the world can take away your money, your status, your relationships, and your comfort, but it can never take away your character unless you willingly surrender it. Today, we will explore 10 powerful Stoic lessons that can transform your mind into something almost unbreakable. These are not theories. These are principles tested by warriors, prisoners, leaders, and ordinary people facing extraordinary struggles. And by the end of this journey, you may never look at challenges the same way again. Because true strength is not about controlling the world. It is about controlling yourself. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind is howling. The rain is pouring. The sky is dark. Now, imagine screaming at the storm to stop. Would it listen? Of course not. Yet this is exactly how many people live. They waste their energy trying to control things that were never theirs to control. They worry about other people's opinions. They obsess over the future. They become angry at circumstances. They fight reality itself. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that life becomes easier when you understand one simple truth. Some things are within your control. Some things are not. Your thoughts within your control. Your actions within your control. Your character within your control. Other people's opinions not in your control. The weather not in your control. The past not in your control. The outcome of every effort not entirely in your control. Mental strength begins the moment you stop wasting energy fighting things you cannot change. The strongest people don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "What can I do about it right now?" That shift changes everything. Because when your attention remains focused on your choices rather than circumstances, you become powerful. No storm can defeat a person who knows where to place their energy. Lesson 2. Difficulties are training, not punishment. Most people see obstacles as signs to stop. Stoics saw them as opportunities to grow. Think about a blacksmith forging a sword. The metal is heated, hammered, bent, pressed, struck. Again and again. If the metal could speak, it might believe it was being destroyed. But at is and Singo, quotes, it is being strengthened. Life works the same way. Every challenge carries a hidden gift. Every setback contains a lesson. Every hardship develops qualities that comfort never can. Patience, resilience, discipline, courage. None of these qualities are built during easy times. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the obstacle becomes the way. What stands in your path becomes the path. The breakup teaches emotional strength. The failure teaches persistence. The rejection teaches confidence from within. The loss teaches gratitude. Every challenge asks a question. Will this break you or build you? The answer depends on your perspective. Because pain is often the gym where mental strength is developed. Lesson 3. Stop seeking validation. Of the biggest weaknesses in modern life is dependence on approval. People spend years trying to impress strangers. They chase likes, recognition, praise, status. But there is a dangerous trap hidden in all of this. The moment your happiness depends on someone else's approval, your freedom disappears. Imagine carrying a remote control for your emotions and handing it to everyone around you. Now your mood depends on their reactions. If they praise you, you're happy. If they criticize you, you're devastated. This is emotional slavery. Stoics refuse to live this way. Understood that self-respect matters more than public approval. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that people would criticize him no matter what he did. And he accepted it. Why? Because trying to please everyone is impossible. People judge based on their own experiences, fears, and expectations. You cannot control that. What you can control is whether your actions align with your values. The mentally strong person asks, am I acting with integrity? Not, does everyone like me? The difference is life-changing. Lesson 4. Learn to be comfortable. Alone many people fear solitude. The moment they are alone, they reach for distractions. Music, social media, television, anything to avoid sitting with their own thoughts. But Stoics understood something powerful. If you cannot enjoy your own company, you'll always depend on others for peace. True strength develops in solitude. It is during quiet moments that you discover who you really are, not who society expects you to be, not who your friends think you are, but who you truly are beneath all the noise. When you become comfortable being alone, something remarkable happens. You stop tolerating toxic relationships. You stop begging for attention. You stop fearing abandonment. Because your peace no longer depends on anyone else's presence. You carry it within yourself. And that kind of independence is incredibly powerful. A person who enjoys solitude cannot be manipulated by loneliness. Lesson go accepto. Mortality. Most people avoid thinking about death. The Stoics did the opposite. They reflected on it regularly. Not because they were pessimistic, because they wanted to live fully. Imagine discovering that you only had 1 year left to live. Would you waste time holding grudges? Would you spend hours worrying about trivial things? Would you postpone your dreams indefinitely? Probably not. Awareness of mortality sharpens priorities. It reminds us that life is precious, temporary, fragile, every sunrise is a gift. Every conversation matters. Every opportunity becomes meaningful. When you remember that your time is limited, fear begins to lose its power. you stop living cautiously. You start living intentionally. And that creates a profound sense of strength, because someone who accepts death no longer fears life. Lesson 6. Control your emotions before they control. Your emotions are powerful servants but terrible masters. Anger can destroy years of progress in a single moment. Fear can prevent opportunities. Jealousy can poison happiness. The Stoics did not teach emotional suppression. They taught emotional mastery. When something happens, there is an event. Then there is your interpretation. The event itself is often neutral. Your judgment creates the emotional reaction. Imagine someone insults you. One person becomes furious. Another laughs. The event is identical. The interpretation is different. This means your emotions are not entirely controlled by circumstances. They are influenced by how you choose to view those circumstances. Mental strength comes from creating space between stimulus and response, instead of reacting immediately. Pause. Observe. Think. Choose your response consciously. That pause is where freedom lives, and freedom creates power. Lesson 7. Discipline is greater than motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel inspired. Other days you don't. If your success depends on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. Stoics valued discipline because discipline remains when motivation disappears. A disciplined person acts regardless of mood. They exercise even when tired. They work even when uninspired. They keep promises even when inconvenient. Why? Because they understand that greatness is built through repeated actions, not occasional bursts of enthusiasm. Imagine two people. One waits until they feel motivated. The other acts. Whether they feel motivated or not, who will achieve more over 10 years? The answer is obvious. Mental strength is not built through feelings. It is built through habits. And habits are created through discipline. Lesson 8. Let go of what you cannot keep. Everything in life is temporary. Youth. Beauty. Money. Possessions. Relationships. Even life itself. Most suffering comes from trying to hold on to things that are naturally changing. The Stoics practiced gratitude without attachment. They appreciated what they had while understanding it might not last forever. This mindset creates peace. Imagine holding sand in your hand. If you squeeze too tightly, it slips away. If you hold it gently, it remains longer. Life is similar. Love people deeply. Appreciate opportunities. Enjoy success. But remember, they are gifts, not guarantees. The mentally strong person learns to say, I am grateful for this while it lasts. That attitude transforms loss into wisdom rather than bitterness. Lesson 9. Your character is your greatest asset. Society often measures success by wealth, fame, or power. The Stoics measured success differently. They asked, who are you becoming? Because eventually, External achievements fade, but character remains. Honesty, courage, wisdom, integrity, kindness, these qualities cannot be stolen. A financial loss cannot destroy them. Criticism cannot remove them. A setback cannot weaken them. In fact, adversity often reveals them. Anyone can appear confident. During success, character is revealed during struggle. How do you respond when nobody is watching? How do you act when things become difficult? Those moments define you, not your possessions, not your status, not your reputation. Your character is the foundation beneath everything else. Strengthen it daily, because it is the one investment that never loses value. Asterisk. Imagine a massive oak tree standing during a storm. The wind attacks from every direction. Branches sway, leaves fall, rain pours relentlessly, yet the tree remains rooted. Why? Because its strength comes from below the surface. The roots are deep. Human beings are the same. When your identity depends on external things, you become fragile. When your confidence depends on success, failure destroys you. When your happiness depends on approval, criticism breaks you. When your peace depends on perfect circumstances, challenges overwhelm you. But when your strength comes from within, life cannot shake you so easily. You remain calm during uncertainty, focused during chaos, hopeful during hardship, steady during success. This is the ultimate Stoic goal, not controlling the world, not avoiding difficulties, but developing such a strong inner foundation that no matter what happens outside, you remain anchored inside. Life will test you. There will be days when your plans fail, days when people disappoint you, days when the future feels uncertain. Days when giving up seems easier than continuing. But remember this: you are stronger than you think. Every challenge you survive becomes evidence of your resilience. Every hardship you endure develops your character. Every setback you overcome strengthens your mind. The Stoics were never searching for an easy life. They were building themselves into people who could handle a difficult one. And that is the path to becoming truly unshakable. Focus on what you can control. Welcome challenges as teachers. Seek self-respect instead of approval. Emburi sasori chudo. Remember mortality. Master your emotions. Choose discipline. Release attachment. Protect your character. Build strength from within. Do these things consistently, and one day you will discover something remarkable. The world around you may still be chaotic. Problems will still exist. Storms will still come. But inside, there will be calm. Inside, there will be confidence. Inside, there will be strength, and that strength will make you unstoppable. Asterisk, Part 2. The day life breaks your Alulis, say honest, there comes a moment in every person's life when reality arrives without warning. It doesn't knock. It doesn't ask for permission. It simply enters your life and destroys the comfortable illusions you once believed. Maybe it arrives as a betrayal, a heartbreak, a failure, a financial loss, a diagnosis, Or perhaps it arrives in the form of someone walking away when you needed them most. In that moment, something inside you shatters. The version of life you expected disappears. The future you imagined suddenly becomes uncertain. And for a while, you feel lost. Most people spend years trying to avoid these moments. They pray for comfort. They chase security. They build their entire identity around stability. But the Stoics understood something that few people are willing to accept. Life was never supposed to be predictable. Nothing was ever guaranteed. Not your success, not your relationships, not your health, not even tomorrow. The problem isn't that. Life changes. The problem is that we expect it not to. And when reality fails to meet our expectations, we suffer. Imagine a sailor standing on the shore. He spends years studying maps, learning navigation, preparing for his journey. Then one day he finally sails into the ocean. Storm appears. The waves become violent. The sky turns black. Now imagine the sailor becoming angry. How dare this storm exist? Why is this happening? What did I do to deserve this? His frustration changes. Nothing. The storm continues. The waves continue. The reality continues. A wise sailor does something different. He accepts the storm immediately. Not because he likes it, but because denial wastes valuable energy. Instead of fighting reality, he adjusts his sails. This is Stoicism. The mentally strong person doesn't waste time wishing life were easier. They focus on becoming stronger. Every challenge becomes a training ground. Every disappointment becomes a lesson. Every painful experience becomes an opportunity to build resilience. And resilience is not built when everything goes according to plan. Resilience is built when everything goes wrong and you keep moving forward. Anyway, think about the strongest people you've ever met. Not the most successful, not the most famous, the strongest. The people who seem impossible to break. If you listen carefully to their stories, you'll discover something surprising. Their strength didn't come from comfort. It came from hardship. It came from surviving things that should have destroyed them. It came from enduring pain without losing themselves. Every scar became a lesson. Every setback became wisdom. Every loss became growth. The world often teaches us to avoid pain. Stoicism teaches us to learn from it, because pain itself is not the enemy. Meaningless suffering is. Pain with purpose transforms people. A seed must break before it becomes a tree. A caterpillar must dissolve before it becomes a butterfly. Metal must endure fire before it becomes steel. Growth always involves discomfort. There is no exception. And yet, most people spend their entire lives running from the very experiences that could transform them. They avoid difficult conversations. They avoid challenges. They avoid risks. They avoid responsibility. Then they wonder why they never become stronger. Strength is earned, not given, and every difficult moment presents an opportunity to earn it. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, political betrayal, disease, the loss of loved ones, constant pressure. Yet through all of it, he repeatedly reminded himself of a powerful truth. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Notice what he did not say. He did not say, you have power over outcomes. He did not say you can control other people. He did not say life will become easy. He said you have power over your mind. That is where true freedom begins, because there is a difference between pain and suffering. Pain is what happens. Suffering is often the story we tell ourselves about what happens. Two people can experience the same event. One becomes better. The other becomes stronger. One sees failure. The other sees a lesson. One sees an ending. The other sees a beginning. The event is identical. The interpretation is different. An interpretation shapes destiny. Imagine a young man who loses his job. Immediately, his mind fills with fear. His future seems uncertain. His confidence disappears. He feels defeated. Months later, he starts a small business. That business grows. It changes his life. Years later, someone asks him about losing his job. He smiles and says, "It was the best thing that ever happened to me." What changed? The event didn't change. Its meaning changed. And meaning changes everything. This is why Stoics trained themselves to pause before judging any situation. Because what appears to be a disaster today may become tomorrow's greatest blessing. Life often reveals its lessons backwards. You understand them only after surviving them. Another powerful Stoic lesson is this: never allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. When people are angry, they say things they regret. When people are afraid, they abandon opportunities. When people are sad, they lose sight of possibilities. Emotions are real, but they are not always accurate. They are visitors, not rulers. A mentally strong person learns to observe emotions without becoming controlled by them. They feel fear, but continue anyway. They feel sadness, but continue anyway. They feel uncertainty, but continue anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement despite fear. And every time you choose courage over comfort, you strengthen your character, little by little, day by day, moment by moment. Most people believe extraordinary strength comes from extraordinary actions. The Stoics knew something different. Great strength is built through ordinary actions, repeated consistently. Getting out of bed when you don't feel like it. Keeping your word. Doing the work. Remaining calm. Choosing patience. Practicing discipline. Controlling your reactions. These small victories accumulate. Eventually, they create an unshakable person. One decision at a time. One challenge at a time. One day at a time. Because becoming mentally strong is not an event. It is a process. And every challenge you face is part of that process. Every setback, every disappointment, every obstacle. Every painful chapter. They are not interruptions to your journey. They are the journey. The strongest version of yourself is not waiting at the end of an easy road. It is waiting on the other side of every challenge you are afraid to face. And one day, when you look back at everything life puts you through, you may realize something remarkable. The things you once thought were breaking you were actually building you. The storms were creating strength. The pain was creating wisdom. The struggle was creating resilience, and the person standing there now is far stronger than the person who entered the storm. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger than anything life could throw at you. Part 3. The silent power of emotional DIT is a dangerous misconception about strength. Many people believe strong individuals feel no pain. They imagine mentally powerful people never get hurt. Never cry. Never struggle. Never experience disappointment. But that is not strength. That is a myth. The strongest people feel everything. They simply refuse to become prisoners of what they feel. This is one of the most misunderstood lessons of Stoicism. Emotional detachment does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean becoming heartless. It does not mean you stop loving people. It means learning how to protect your inner peace from things you cannot control. Imagine carrying a glass of water. For 1 minute, it feels light. For 10 minutes, it becomes uncomfortable. For an hour, your arm begins to ache. The weight never changed. What changed was how long you carried it. Emotional burdens work the same way. A painful memory, a betrayal, an insult, a regret. If you hold on to it long enough, it begins to poison your life. The event happened once, but inside your mind, you relive it thousands of times. The person who hurt you may have moved on years ago, yet you continue carrying the pain, not because the wound remains, but because you refuse to put it down. The Stoics understood a profound truth. You do not become stronger by carrying every burden forever. You become stronger by learning what deserves your energy and what does not. Most suffering comes from attachment. Attachment to expectations. Attachment to outcomes. Attachment to people. Attachment to control. We become attached to how things should be done. Then reality arrives, and reality rarely follows our plans. A relationship ends. A dream fails. A friend changes. A business collapses. And suddenly we feel betrayed by life itself. But life never promised permanence. It was we who created that expectation. The Stoics constantly reminded themselves that everything in life is temporary. Not to create fear, but to create appreciation. Imagine being handed a beautiful flower. You know it will eventually fade. Does that make it less beautiful? No. In many ways it becomes more beautiful because you understand its value. Its temporary nature makes it precious. The same is true for life. The same is true for relationships. The same is true for opportunities. Everything you love is temporary, and that is exactly why it matters. When you understand this, your relationship with loss begins to change. You stop demanding permanence from temporary things. You stop expecting certainty from an uncertain world. You stop fighting reality. And in doing so, you find peace. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the temporary nature of existence. He reminded himself that kings and servants eventually meet the same fate. The wealthy, the famous, the powerful. The forgotten. Time treats everyone equally. At first, this sounds depressing, but it is actually liberating. Because if everything eventually passes away, then many of the things we worry about become insignificant. That embarrassing mistake, that criticism, that rejection, that failure. One day nobody will remember it, and neither will you. How much of your life have you wasted worrying about things that never truly mattered? How many sleepless nights? How many anxious thoughts? How many fears? The Stoics believed peace begins when you stop exaggerating problems in your imagination, because often the mind creates suffering greater than reality itself. A person receives criticism. The criticism lasts 30 seconds, but the mind replays it for 30 days. A person experiences rejection. The rejection lasts 1 moment, but the mind turns it into years of self-doubt. Reality wounds us once. The mind often wounds us repeatedly. This is why emotional mastery is so important. The Stoics trained themselves to examine every thought carefully. When a negative thought appeared, they questioned it. Is this true? Is this useful? Am I making this bigger than it really is? Many of our fears disappear when examined honestly, because fear often survives through imagination, not reality. Think about how many times you've worried about something that never happened. How many scenarios played inside your mind? How many disasters you imagined? How many sleepless nights were spent preparing for a future that never arrived? The Stoics understood this tendency, and they refused to surrender their peace to imagined problems. Instead, they focused on the present moment. Not yesterday, not next, year. Today, this hour, this breath, this step, because life is always happening now. Not in memory, not in imagination, only now. And yet, most people spend their lives everywhere except the present. Their bodies exist here, but their minds are trapped elsewhere, replaying the past, predicting the future, fighting battles that don't exist, missing the only moment they actually possess, the present. A mentally strong person learns to return their attention to what is happening right now, again and again, no matter how often the mind wanders. Because peace exists in the present. Not in the future, not in the past, only here. Another powerful Stoic principle is learning not to take everything personally. This lesson alone can transform your life. Most people interpret every negative interaction as an attack. Someone is rude. Someone ignores them. Someone criticizes them. Immediately, they assume it is personal, but often it has nothing to do with them. People act according to their own fears, their own wounds, their own insecurities, their own struggles. The angry customer, the impatient driver, the disrespectful stranger. Many are fighting battles you cannot see. Their behavior reflects their internal state, not your worth. When you understand this, you stop carrying unnecessary emotional weight. You stop allowing strangers to determine your mood. You stop giving away your peace so easily, because your peace is valuable, and not everyone deserves access to it. Imagine living with such inner stability that another person's negativity no longer controls your emotions. Imagine remaining calm while others lose control. Imagine maintaining confidence without needing constant reassurance. Imagine feeling secure even when nobody is applauding. That is emotional independence. And emotional independence creates true freedom. Because freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is refusing to become controlled by things outside yourself. The Stoics pursued this freedom relentlessly. Not freedom from responsibility, not freedom from pain, freedom from unnecessary suffering, freedom from emotional slavery, freedom from fear, freedom from external validation, freedom from attachment, and the result was extraordinary inner strength, the kind of strength that cannot be purchased, cannot be inherited, cannot be borrowed. It must be built, day by day, thought by thought, choice by choice. The world will always remain unpredictable. People will disappoint you. Plans will fail. Life will change. But when your peace comes from within rather than from circumstances, nothing can truly shake you. You become like a mountain during a storm. The winds arrive. The rain falls. The thunder roars. Yet the mountain remains. Not because the storm is weak, but because the foundation is strong. That is the goal, not to eliminate every challenge, not to avoid every hardship, but to develop such a strong inner foundation that external chaos can no longer destroy your peace. And when that day arrives, you will discover something remarkable. The things that once controlled you no longer have power over you. The opinions, the fears, the doubts, the disappointments, the losses, they may still appear, but they no longer own your mind, because you have learned the silent power of emotional detachment, and that power makes you truly unshakable.